My name is Hessel Visser, and I'm a farmer's son who has been working in the aircraft industry and giving lessons to several people and writing books about logistics. And even it's funny to have some students here in the audience. So,
oh, you have students in the audience?
There are students. So.
Oh, please, hands up. Cool.
And the funny thing is, he explained that often what I did in my lessons to use a lot of pictures and slides, but now it's only one.
I'm very happy. Thank you. Yeah.
So the very simple thing in this picture is you see two cars, so two trucks, and the one is with a combustion engine, and the other one is electric powered. What should be the difference in future to use diesel-powered trucks and electric trucks to decision systems in IT? What is it? If you use a diesel truck, you know exactly that it costs €2 for a liter of diesel power. But in electricity, what does electricity cost? Do you know it? What does it cost at you at home? Yeah, I think nowadays some people know it. But in the future, it is variable. Sometimes even you get money if the solar power is just giving enough energy, and sometimes it doesn't cost. So how is your model for optimization in your logistic chain now happening in the future if such a thing happens? And this is not only with electric trucks, much more things are changing. And I come from the time when the tariffs were stable. Mm-hmm. The prices were setting in the system for a whole year, fixed. We live in a dynamic world. What is the change for software to adopt these type of things? So my statement is...
Yep.
Let's read it over there. The logistic IT system must be prepared for rapid change in the future with these type of things. That is my statement.
Your statement. Maybe good to clarify the roles shortly.
That's
so your name and role. So that
yeah, I hope they can give me an answer. So
yeah, here we are working on that as at Google, preparing the future for logistics IT systems, trying to shape the future platform, laying the foundations that modernization of logistics IT systems can be established on that. I will be talking more on the twin concept in my part, in my statement part, but it is a valid point, especially to feed the wisdom of the business people. AI, ML, analytics is gaining importance, especially when traditional and conventional ways of doing AI, ML, mostly relying on the historical data, and when there is no history of this data, and it is leading us to implement something new, which is supporting this statement.
Yeah, so you're talking from a Google Cloud perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. Hans, can you offer your also the background perhaps shortly?
My background?
Yeah,
I'm Hans Don, CTO from Vanenburg. I was also thinking directly in AI ML, as kind of predicting how most likely the cost level will be.
Yeah, but how do you predict it with the sun and some things like that? So
a lot of
economic things and all that type of information. How could we combine that in the future to optimize this typical change for the future? So even he's transporting containers and the tariffs are fixed, I see, but how should we do this in the future?
I would say connect to the supplier and take his actual cost and make an agreement that he can do actual cost plus 10%.
What do you think about that solution?
Of course, it can be that your cost plus solutions you'll use, so you have a fixed rate, and on the rate you use the energy and things like that. But if a competitor is giving you another solution, that not giving you that, but he can give you then a surety that is cheaper. So because the cost plus situation is, you don't know for sure what you could pay. So isn't that a problem then? So if you want to have fixed rates or things like that.
Let's take the diesel.
Yeah.
Because that's also not a fixed price, because in the diesel they give you a rate and they always have an additional, the diesel clause.
Yeah.
So, and that is you can do the same with the electricity, I guess, because the trucker give you, let's say, 100 euro for whatever, plus 10 euros because the diesel went up so many percentage, and then you make agreements over.
It can be done but the problem is that what's the tariff and how much electricity are you using? So if it's the cost price plus a little bit, then it's not a problem on its own. But some people now are thinking that the cost of energy will be rising, and so it will be then more than cost price plus. So it will be an enormous decision. What do you do? Which chain do you use?
We are living in a shared economy, so I don't say...
Well,
It's coming, yeah. Yeah.
The brother of my brother.
Yeah.
I know.
Welcome.
Yes.
We shared in the past the same bed.
Yeah.
It was not in the sharing economy, but we are living in the sharing economy, shared economy. So I would say also the companies who are willing to deliver the energy, they have an interest. Yeah. So make a win-win out of it and share the risk. So you have a good connection with your delivery partner.
Yeah.
And do it in an open calculation, in a way that you can do it later on. That you say, what was the win-win? Was it really a win-win or a win-lose?
Mm-hmm. So basically, your suggestion...
I would say it's always the business model who will drive the IT, and not Google who will drive the IT.
And basically, you're also offering to sort of step beyond the boundaries of how we look at business nowadays. Because if you move to a sharing economy, then sort of the boundaries that are currently there, you know, don't have to be there. So that already offers a new way of looking at this issue.
And look at other companies who did it already.
Yeah.
Look at Uber, for example. They do it already, because without that, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So mostly we think that our innovation is coming from ourselves, but mostly innovation is coming from other businesses. So learn from them.
I fully agree with that, but I'm curious, if I ask that question to Hans, what do you feel about this direction?
I think that's conceptually a very, very good direction. It is the way we are going to, we share everything, but there should be a platform as well that supports it. So a lot of things have to be brought in place, but I think conceptually, yes.
Yeah.
That IT and the decision should no longer be statical like it is today. It must be dynamical and it must be collaborative. And what we have today is spreadsheet management, and we are not incorporating the back-end data. And that's quite simple. It's just customer order decouple point. You decouple and it is late binding. On the right moment you take it together. And the perfect is the enemy of the good. Also learn from each other, and the best is also that you have what Paul mentioned, a win-win situation, and that's good. Let me say, if nothing is changing, you cannot make money. It's very attractive. This way, uncertainty is quite attractive to make a good margin.
So basically, your statement then sort of you match with the statement. Yeah. You're happy?
I'm very happy because I think Jan is very right, because the systems in the past, they're very simple. Nowadays you see that more and more things are used in the optimization of the chain, and we'll have, let's say, a change in that as well, isn't it?
But the miscalculation is that artificial intelligence helped us a little. They expect that everything is done, but artificial intelligence today is only gives us a view outside, and it can make you crazy. But we are missing the view inside. We do not have an end-to-end data linked in and one version of the truth. And that is simply because we deal with our legacy system, and our legacy system cannot deal with the front end. It's quite simple if you can connect the back end with the front end and continue dynamic development. And most people today have no idea what it means to do dynamic elements. We do a spreadsheet. And we say we are digital. They're crazy. They're lying, because everyone is saying we are digital. We do a PDF. It is dead like it can be dead.
Yeah.
The real element is continue the dynamic way, and dynamic could be some data you need it maybe once a day after an MRP run, and in the IoT world you need it 1 milliseconds before you bring it in. And that is also the element of decoupling.
Yeah.
That's right, Jan.
Maybe because we're almost going to move over to the next statement.
Great.
Yes, and do you want to offer something on the, how do you then provision for a dynamic IT system? Is there something you can offer based on the statement and based on what the brothers shared?
Yeah, actually when you are able to manage that IT system seamlessly, you can make it dynamic. If it is hard to make deployments or if it is hard to make it scalable, resilient, high available, then those kind of challenges are making to make it more dynamic, and people should be focusing more on the business side, not on the hosting, the infrastructure, provisioning servers, etc.
You said more on the business side? Or?
Yeah. On the business part, actually, when building an IT system, companies should be focusing on their business, how they can differentiate themselves, how can they optimize their supply chains, logistics pipelines, instead of dealing with how they can scale, host their environments.
Yeah, so also look at sort of the problem side first and the solution, rather than starting with the tech and the IT, which I can vouch for, but also making sure the data that goes in, you look at that with a fresher perspective rather than taking old garbage data in, which means, especially in AI, something will get out that you don't want. So with that, I'd like to move over to the second statement. Bariş.
My statement is quite aligned with Hessel's statement, logistics IT optimization. To do that, a quick introduction for my background.
You have 2 minutes, yeah. No.
Okay. This is Bariş. I am working as industry solutions architect at Google Cloud. My specialty is logistics and supply chains. And I am also leading a platform called Supply Chain Twin Platform, which is in private preview stage, and we are planning to make it generally available next year. And I will be talking mostly on this platform, what we are targeting here in the next slide. This digital supply chain twin platform, in the nutshell, the definition is this is digital representation of physical supply chain environment. And to create a twin of the physical supply chain, we are first starting with collection of the data. There are many business systems, ERP system, WMS, TMS systems, using Google-provided products and solutions. First, we collect this data. We collect WMS legacy systems data, also IoT data. First, everything starts with collecting. Then, organization part starts. We need to clean the data, enrich this data with some public data providers, use some data sets for which is provided for supplier risk, which is provided for location-based risk, any event data. We are using this world's data to organize the collected data. Then we are using the solutions and products provided by rest of the Google. That we have solutions like maps, analytics, and AI solutions. We are running those solutions on top of this data to create more insights, to enable decision makers and planners across the company to make informed decisions using the real-time data. And as a result of that, on the engagement side, we are providing means to interact with this data using some engagement layers. And the statement is, with the digital supply chain twin, you will have no risk when implementing IT updates, because supply chain digital twin is not targeting to replace any existing pillar in your ecosystem, IT ecosystem. It is complementing that, providing a collaboration environment by bringing together data from all those different segments and using Google's technologies on top of this data to create value-added results.
Okay, thanks. Hans, what do you think about this statement?
I think making use of serverless offerings, say that Google offers, and specifically this one, is a very good thing for an organization, because you don't have the burden of of a lot of hardware maintenance, decisions on scaling. It's all like you get your power from your energy provider, you get the service from Google, and that's what I like, because it will make you really focus on your business challenges. And not on all the hassle around and all the objections that everyone can have about, say, detailed technology. And if this can be offered in such a way, then I feel this is very good for the business, so that they can just implement it in the landscape.
Oh, Hessel, what do you have to offer? Perhaps
the funny thing is, if you hear this type of things, that we can use other solutions that are already there. For example, you Google Maps and things like that. The question is, when should we pay for it and when it's free? That is a question from me, from you, to what do you think about the way how we do the payment? Because it's nice to have these solutions then available, but I see often that there is you know that people are just have to pay it. So
it will come with a cost, of course. And initially it looks perhaps more, but when you take into account all your internal costs and do a fair comparison, then they do it cheaper. So.
But what is the balance between that and what is the investment in it and what is the cost? Because I heard often nowadays of people that they are buying software, but the costs that are coming afterwards, the service cost and so on, maybe people know what the service cost of some software packages are nowadays. Then
so you see also a risk in making that decision, or you shouldn't actually make that decision before understanding sort of the longer term implication of making that choice.
Is there buy-in, and is the buy-in there or not? Could it be free to get another solution there in? That's why. That's one of my warnings as well, Jan. Because the vendor lock-in, we heard already too much about that in last years, or the big ones that are just doing that, and the cost of the ICT is rising then in the companies nowadays, isn't it that?
But today's technology is therefore 10 times cheaper, because you avoid this one, but the old technology from last century is locked and it is on premise, and therefore by far too complicated, but we are locked in and we cannot change, because it's not that we have to be afraid for the price, but we cannot go there because we are locked in.
Do you want to react or respond to that, Bariş?
For cost perspective, actually one of the biggest cost for such transformation or twin project is the implementation part. How you are going to harmonize data, which data sets you are going to select, how you are going to store, process data. You need some competency on AI, ML, data analytics part. And what we are doing at Google is making this part more seamless. So providing some accelerator content to decrease this project implementation cost to significantly, because digital supply chain twin solution has no cost for customer. Customers only pay for the usage of the products under Google provisioned environment. It is always running on customers' own Google project.
Okay.
And we are trying to decrease the entrance barrier by providing those kind of accelerator content where customers can find ready-to-use machine learning components, ready-to-use machine learning, ready-to-use data and analytics pipelines, and ready-to-use models which are source system agnostic and domain-specific data models. Those are our initiatives. And for lock-in part, I want to add this part also. At Google, we are mostly using open source technologies to implement our infrastructure and services.
So basically, if I just imagine, I could sort of make a digital triplet, and then sort of have my triplet somewhere, and then sort of you're not really locked in. If I look at it from an open source perspective.
Exactly, Google is the home of Kubernetes technology, which is also well known in the open source way. You can port your containers to any other cloud provider. only lacking possibility could be because of the high convenience of the platform. You may not want to leave the platform.
You may
when
like
you
to
start
stay, you
using
say.
query.
Okay. I think that's a nice bridge towards the third statement. Hans, can you offer your short introduction and explain your statement?
Yeah, my name is Hans Don, as said already, CTO from Vanenburg. I work already from 2009 for Vanenburg, so it was a long journey already. My slide. I'll talk you through the slide. Hessel has brought in the use case of say something happens externally, and as a business you want to respond in a very agile manner to that new change and implement that very fast in your business. And Bariş came with an example of new technology that has the potential to be implemented in your organization. So the theme of my slide is more how can you as an organization align your IT landscape in such a way that you are able to rapidly respond to such changes, such opportunities. And so in the below part you see some of the business drivers that can be an incentive for an organization to go in that direction. On top of that you see a kind of IT landscape, ecosystem. On the left part, we in red, we see the ERP core. So I think we all recognize that the traditional approach of ERP, having one monolith, is not making an organization very agile. Adding a BPM layer on top of it can help for some part, but more and more we see insights coming and publications from Gartner talking about terms like composable enterprise, enterprise business capabilities, and they refer to a very modern, innovative landscape where applications and systems are working together in a loosely coupled way. And so instead of having a few monolithic systems, the recommendation is to break that apart into multiple components and open them up to external systems. And that brings, say, the opportunity to implement all the other terms that you see on this slide. So cloud native, scalable, bringing big data, machine learning, but also take benefit of, say, agile development and low code where applicable. This is, on one hand, makes an organization more agile, more responsive, but on the other hand, it also, say, places a burden on the organization. There is more governance needed. It's more complex. Therefore, we see also some organizations, they select a certain ecosystem and stick to that. Other organizations we see, they are, say, kind of composing their own ecosystem by selecting technology, selecting methodologies, and also enabling their organization to work within the boundaries of that structure.
So can you summarize that into your statement?
Yeah, my statement is that organizations should strategically adopt an ecosystem for rapid adoption of emerging capabilities and technology. So they should think about bringing this structure in place in a proactive way to guide the initiatives in the organization. That's
Thank you. Yeah. So
this is very interesting because I think we look to from an educational point to this. We see that at the universities and at the University of Professional Studies, they should change their programs because what I see that instead of we have software developers, we have business developers. Is that maybe the next step what we should do because this is needed? So you get the tools, you get the solutions, but now we need the people.
Yeah, it means basically what you're saying, is that it also requires changes in our educational system, because if we still sort of educate people on living in a pillar.
And most educations, they use Excel, the BI, and some things around that, and then it stops. But do you think that we need also a change in that to realize this? Otherwise, we can't realize it. We have the tools, but we don't have the person to work with these tools.
Yeah, I think it goes beyond IT, because I think if we move to a world where we are more, living in a sharing economy, sharing things that we didn't share before, that requires different skills in building bridges also between expertises, I can imagine. Yeah. Is it something you also see from your perspective?
Exactly.
What you add?
Actually, this ecosystem is quite important, building a mechanism to gradually adapting those technological and business-wise developments in the industry. And in all the engagements, I am working with customers across EMEA on their most pressing issues. And mostly, when I see their problems, when we are providing solutions, we are not trying to boil the ocean. We start with building a foundation which is reusable across other business requirements, or when we start with the data models, for example, having a central data model, creating some analytics on that, on top of that using AI ML, so more composable, extendable approach.
But that means also something for your people to be able to understand where you're going to extend sort of your cooperation, with whom you're going to co-create, and what do you sort of leave on your table for your
Exactly. Scope. Partners part is quite important there, because they are bringing industry knowledge plus cloud knowledge, how to use technology.
But that still is very focused on the IT part. So I think what you're saying is we should move beyond that and say, if we would start with a clean shade, what would then the requirements be for a, future leader, I would say, that is a good ecosystem builder.
And inside that, it's truly also, how do we have the gap between the business people and the really operational people, how we can bridge that gap. So is there maybe an answer from you around? What do you think about that? How can we bridge that gaps that's coming on in our
You mean also the gap between those who know sort of IT?
We have another type of IT system, and people in a lot of CEOs. I even know CEOs that even can't work Excel sheets.
So is there somebody who would like to offer his or her opinion on this one? Yeah, maybe we can get the box there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm a professor at the Erasmus University, so I should know something about education. Yeah. There are two elements that are happening now at the moment. First of all, there are, like in our university, but in most universities, we set up an Erasmus Center for Data Analytics that is crossing all faculties.
Okay.
So not only the business school, with all the School of Economics, School of Sociology, the history, and the School of Health, Policy and Management, and Erasmus Medical. And that is a bridge where you can connect via the analytics and deep learning elements across, let's say, the different functional areas in a business school and across even the university. And secondly, what is more important, students start to organize themselves.
Right.
So in 3 years' time, we have an Erasmus tech community, and although we don't have a computer science faculty, the students organize themselves.
Yeah.
And that is great, because they are the young people who would like to learn more about tech. They are not in a technical university, but they organize themselves.
Great.
And I think that is interesting also for the companies, because they should connect those to these student organizations to see how they can bring in their knowledge from the business side. And the technology side is I think, well educated, but interesting
so you also say, in order to build a sort of properly working ecosystem, companies should also sort of link and reach out to those informal communities and build bridges between sort of where the knowledge is being created towards where sort of the knowledge is being applied, and because there is a sort of gap also in between the time frame where a student gets into a company. Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
And out of curiosity, one question: why did you decide to take analytics as the core denominator to connect disciplines?
Because for two reasons, we would like to attract talent from all around the world. And if you can show that you have a data analytics center that is crossing different borders, that attracts more talent, assistant professors, associate professors, full professors. And from a business perspective, it's really interesting to collaborate with different angles. For example, think about insurance and health. Think about logistics and let's say the businesses that we have seen. So
so you're viewing it from an insights perspective rather than from a data perspective.
From an outside-in perspective instead of an inside-out perspective. And then where data is flowing and shared by different businesses.
Thank you.
Maybe 1 minute, and don't forget that IT is maybe the most difficult element from complexity. IT in the next future is becoming consumerized. And we are looking to IT with the complexity from all this old school, and therefore we mistake all those elements. The IT is becoming a consumerized tool for the business to import the business. And maybe IT is maybe in the future incorporated in the business.
I think that would be a great idea, because that's why I was asking, how can you cross the gap between, the business and IT, because often it's the case, and not so at Omoda, because they've already, found a way to merge it. But that's, I think, the biggest gap to cross, so that you don't see it as different things, but you start from source in, how to...
Killing complexity, that's...
Yeah. What is your response based on the things you got back here?
Yeah, it's definitely good to connection between different disciplines, but also different skills is crucial to make this a success. I was also thinking on the term T-shaped professional. That's also a term that you hear regularly. So a person that is broadly skilled, but also deep in one particular, and you need a couple of them to be able to set this up, I guess, and maintain it. And that is something that in education perhaps can.
We hope that the education picks it up. So because the world is changing here, and that system, education should change as well.
And because basically we have our views from an industry perspective, technology perspective, and a customer perspective. If I, because is there some? If I would ask you. Because it's a very interesting one, because I think what we notice is that although you have different statements, I think there is sort of an underlying commonality. So
was fun. I brought in 7 statements, and so the funny thing is that this statement is one of the statements that's very important, to my opinion, for the future, that we have the rapidly changing companies and the rapidly changing environments, the VUCA world, volatility, uncertainty, the complexity and agility that the VUCA world is nowadays is unbelievable. So we had to change very fast.
And is there, maybe out of curiosity, is there also something we should do then on the values underlying responsible entrepreneurship, innovation, and tech development?
The funny thing is that I think the world is changing now, and Jan and I have a lot of, maybe in the next discussion we'll discuss that as well. The world is changing that, and we have a lot of large companies nowadays, and we'll see that in the world some small companies coming up very fast now, and they are making business faster than ever before. And that is maybe one of the big possibilities. So I'm very positive about the developments, but we deliver the tool, the simple tool, so everybody can work with it. Yeah, I even sent boys. I spoke. A young guy was making apps. Yeah, the funny thing, and that he can connect to the world already. So there's hope.
That sounds like a nice closing statement from your side. Is there anything you would like to say, and also like 2-3 words that you want to bring in looking at the future?
Yeah, back for future part, I want to comment on the previous part also, the filling the gap between IT and business. I think, again, it is mostly on the technology people's responsibility. When technology people are providing some tools for business people like low-code or no-code environments, they can easily represent their visions without needing a complex IT professional to intervene and develop the solution for themselves. They can build prototypes easily in a fast way. So after that, the most complex part can be taken care by the experienced IT professional. This is also important for the future of the industry because of the lack of IT resources, those kind of tools, technology is quite important, and also managed services usage that is making easier the life of IT people is also the future, I think, as a future statement I can add to those two things.
Thank you. And Hans, your final closing remark on?
Yeah, I was thinking, so this challenge is that we see every day in our with our customers, and that we face every day, and there is a lot of innovation going on at the customer side, and ways to try to cope with this. And we see different customers doing it in different ways. So it's really nice to be part of this as Vanenburg and to contribute with our knowledge and technology.
Yeah, so basically you are excited of what's coming up, although it's a VUCA world, but there's opportunity to build bridges, not only between tech business, but extend it and sort of be part of working together from an ecosystem perspective.
Yeah. I think we had to standardize, we had to connect, we had to create, and we had to bring in to other people and bring it to each other. That's, to my opinion, very important. Open world.
An open, thank you. I think I like that. So thank you for each of your contributions. We're good? Yeah? Thank you.
Okay.